Hi everybody, this is Lisa Harris. I just wanted to take the time to reach out to everybody. As I had promised, I wanted to share with you some of my last thoughts that I have from the Unveiled Beauty, Cultivating You series. So, as you know, the series ended on June 29th. We had our very last event, and it was such a phenomenal evening. We had almost 50 women attend, and we sold out the event for that evening. And it was very powerful and very humbling to see the women in our community come together and support one another. So I thought I would back up a little bit and talk a little bit about the original idea for Unveiled Beauty, Cultivating You, some of the things that we learned along the way, and also take an opportunity to thank the many speakers as well as sponsors that helped to support this initiative, as well as talk a little bit more about what our new initiatives going forward for 2017 and hopefully into 2018. So let me talk about our original concept. So our original concept for Unveiled Beauty, Cultivating You was really to create a space for women to come and focus on their inner beauty and their outer beauty. A very holistic approach to building and renewing our confidence as women. And we did that in a couple different ways. We invited speakers from our community who were accomplished in their profession, who had some personal journeys that they were willing to share with our audience. So we had a speaker who spoke about some inner beauty topics, several authors on that side of the speaker series, as well as speakers who were talented and worked in industries on the outer beauty side of things. But even the women who were talking about outer beauty topics such as makeup tips or fashion trends, they were also sharing some very personal journeys that they experienced in their lives. And that is what made this series very different and unique, was that we were bringing women together to talk about what was on the inside as well as what's on the outside. And we did that by sharing our stories, sharing our struggles, sharing our journeys. And we did that in a safe space for women to support one another. And I believe we met our original concept, but what happened there was so much more. As I mentioned, we wanted to create this space, but it wasn't about us creating that space. It was about the women who came to the event. Those women were the ones who created that space. Perhaps I initiated a place to go to and a concept and a vision, but it wasn't until the women showed up and the women shared their stories and the attendees participated in conversations and met new women. It was at that moment when we realized that we created something much more powerful than just talking about inner and outer beauty. So to give a little recap for those who don't live in the Twin Cities and didn't have an opportunity to go, or even those who do live in the Twin Cities, the speakers that shared their journeys with us, many of them felt comfortable on stage. Many of them were professional speakers, but there were just as many women who had never publicly spoken before. So what we discovered was all of these women were taking a big, bold step in their own personal path and their own journey towards bravery. And my last keynote speech was about bravery, but when I reflect on the entire series, I am still in awe of the stories and the journeys that these women shared. And I think the biggest learning and the biggest thing that excites me about this movement going forward is what happened in that space. As I mentioned, it was all the other women that created this safe space. But what was so exciting was when the speakers got on stage and they began to share their stories, they opened up something within the attendees. And during our social hour or during our networking time, a lot of other women began to share, and they began to allow themselves to be vulnerable. In a room full of strangers, where you would think people might hold back, they finally started to speak. And I think seeing women on stage just like them, not celebrities, not women who often share such vulnerable pieces of their lives, when they saw those women on stage, they realized that they too had a story that they wanted to share. They too had a journey, they had a struggle. Whether it was personal or professional, we all have moments in our lives that we have had to go through that were difficult for us. And in my speech, I talk a lot about bravery, and I talk a lot about bravery is not reserved for heroes. It's the everyday actions that we make in our lives. And I think that is also what was so special about this series as well, is what is one woman's journey may be very different than another woman's journey, but in that message and in sharing that and being witnessed by other people and expressing that can be healing for that person on stage, but it also can be healing for those who are listening. It can be inspiring. It can make those in the audience remember that in this world that sometimes seems so crazy and so dark and so lonely, that really they're not alone, and somebody else has experienced something similar. And many times those messages, those lessons learned, the way they came out of that and how they shined afterwards is a good message for maybe somebody who's in the thick of it right now. So we discovered many things, and we met so many amazing, amazing women that we're not ready to stop, and we're ready to take it to the next level. So I am excited to say that we will be continuing with our Unveiled Beauty, Cultivating You series, and our next event will be event 6 because the last one was 5. We are going to take a little bit of a break to regroup and create a better empowerment event for all of our attendees. We are reviewing our surveys. We had surveys going out to all of our attendees, and we're taking that feedback, and we're excited to make adjustments and make it even more powerful. And we really do want to invite women to come and experience it, because it was in that experience that has even given me a greater passion to create a platform for women. Because what I also discovered was that as women, even in this new age of women's empowerment, we're still craving for our voices to be heard. And there's many reasons why we aren't speaking out. I've identified a couple of them as being, we don't know how to share our stories. Perhaps it is that we aren't brave enough, and that's something that I really want to focus on with my speaking, is bravery. Maybe there's other obstacles or people in our lives that are stopping us from speaking out, and maybe we don't know how, or we don't have a place to share. So I want to help to solve some of that for our community. And going forward, I'm going to be focusing on several new initiatives that are going to help women to become braver, to craft their story, and to give them places where that they can share their story. And when I talk about stories, I'm talking about whatever that journey is. So for one woman, it may be leaving corporate America like I did several years ago and taking a big jump into the entrepreneur world, or a whole new different industry. That is an act of bravery. That's a moment that may be difficult. It may be something that is different that you need to redirect in your life. The other thing in your life may be you may have survived a death in your family, and that moment may be a very difficult moment. And how did you make it through that? Many of the stories that we heard in our speaker series were extremely powerful. women's journeys that I did not even know when I brought them on board that they were going to share with us. We heard a lot about mental illnesses in families. We heard about depression, anxiety. We heard about just body image struggles that women have gone through. We heard about traumatic childhood incidents. We heard stories of women just trying to make it day by day and finding out and discovering that they truly were strong, beautiful, and brave. And I want to honor all those women who did speak in my first series, because what I discovered from them was that regardless of your struggles, or regardless of the journey that you have been on, there is something of great light on the other side. And I am very proud of all the women who spoke in our first series. So before I share some of our new initiatives, I wanted to thank our speakers. And I'm going to start off with our event one. We had our speaker, Jennifer Kern-Collins, who is an author and life coach. And she spoke about navigating emotional energy. And then we had, in that same event, we had Cassie Gruber, and she's a fitness expert, and she shared how to prioritize fitness, and she shared a very personal story in her life. And then for event two, we had, and I'm doing this off of memory, I don't know why. Actually, I have the program right here, maybe I should look at it. In event two, we had, let's just do it this way, then I won't have to go off my memory. We had Nicole Pillow, and she is a beautiful woman, and she shared her journey, and she really talked about faith and discovering our inner beauty. Then we also had Catherine Mayer, who is an esthetician, and she shared some of her knowledge about skincare, but also in her speech, she did share a lot of her journey in her childhood. That was something that has really shaped the woman she's become. In event three, we had the stage for Annie Meehan, who is a professional speaker and an author, and she shared her journey, and her topic was breaking free from broken. And then we turned the stage over to Shar Dobbs, who talked about style. She's a stylist here in the Twin Cities. And then in event five, we had Janaea Martin, who is a fellow poet here in the Twin Cities. And her and I did a special poem together. But not only that, she did share some very traumatic experiences that she experienced as a child and shared how to heal through words. And we finally ended that event with Hillary Klein, who, bless her heart, she is a local makeup artist, but she also does a lot of red carpet commentating, and she is in the daytime a PR specialist. And she shared makeup tips for all the women, which we love. And she also shared some of personal struggles that she'd gone through in the past 5 years that really did lead her to becoming a makeup artist. And then finally, in our last event, I shared my truth and my story. And I will be focusing a lot in the coming months on speaking about bravery, about the path of bravery, and some of the things that I had gone through in my childhood that really did shape the person that I am. And I shared that, as well as I shared the stage with one of the stylists here in the Twin Cities. She's also a fashion editor. Her name is Tressie Schneider. And she had a really fun and engaging topic, and the women got to come on stage and do a little of their own fashion show, and I think it was a great balance between some of the serious topics I covered, as well as adding a little fun and laughter to our very last event. So I want to thank all of those women, all of those 9 women, for taking a chance on me and for believing in this series. It would not have been the same without all of you, and many of you had never shared your stories publicly, and I applaud you for that. So I also do want to take time to thank my partner in crime behind the scenes, which we haven't talked about much. I do want to thank my dear partner, who has now become a dear friend. She believes in women's empowerment, and she supported me all the way through, and she did a lot of the event producing behind the scenes. And I want to thank our sponsor, Three Bosses, which is the company that Amber Rose owns. And Amber Rose helped me with this project. So I want to give a huge shout out to Amber Rose. She hosted 4 of the events and just did a fantastic job partnering with me, believing in my mission, staying true to what we wanted to accomplish. And I look forward to working with her as we move through the series throughout the rest of the year. And I also wanted to thank Anahita. She was a guest host for us on, I believe it was the fourth event. And I approached her and I wanted to shake it up and do something a little bit different. And she said yes. And I'm so grateful for her for joining us on stage and being a great MC that evening. And then finally, for the thank yous, I know thank yous get long. I feel like I'm on the Oscars or something, but I'm not. I wanted to thank our sponsors, because an event like this is not easy to put on, not only from a manpower, logistics, and financially. And I want to make sure that I recognize the people that took a chance. This is a brand new series. This is a brand new space for me personally to be in. And there was a lot of people that believed in our vision and believed in our concept, and not only believed in it so much that they shared it, but they financially supported our initiative. So I do want to thank our sponsors. And so I want to thank Minnesota Monthly, is a local cities magazine here in the Twin Cities, and they sponsored our event, as well as our wine, which women and wine always go well together. I want to thank Lowry Hill Liquors and Lakeside Wine and Spirits for the wine at the event. I especially want to thank Cambria Gallery. It was a beautiful gallery that we were able to host this event at. Had a beautiful stage, beautiful AV, and it really did take this event to the next level. So I want to thank that team. They did an incredible job. This started out as a one-woman show and still sort of is, but along the way, there have been people that have been making this easier. They helped, set up, they helped tear down, they helped any questions that we had. They were there, they were willing, and they were completely supportive of the entire series. So I want to thank Cambria Gallery. I also want to thank our main sponsors, Aesthetic Institute of Edina and Covanda Plastic Surgery. That team of people really blew my mind. They came to each event and they shared obviously some of their practices, and they shared some messages for their business, but they did share a lot of personal stories. And when you think about skincare and you think about things like plastic surgery, people might think that that is not aligned with inner beauty and it's focused on outer beauty. And I'm here to tell you that that's not the truth. And there are many, many stories of women, whether they're going through reconstruction from breast cancer, whether they have scars from acne or aging spots that they really want to lighten. There are many, many reasons why women choose that as an option. And I think as women, that's the other thing that we really need to focus on, is as we continue to rise up and rise each other up, that we have to let down the barriers of judgment. And what one woman chooses to empower herself and make herself feel confident and whole again, it is her choice. And we should allow that, and we should celebrate that she is moving on that journey together. So I want to thank them. I also want to thank Noble Purpose, a dear friend, Rebecca Boss. I met her early on this journey, and she has been a remarkable mentor and friend. And thank you, Rebecca, for supporting this. I also want to thank Atelier, is a shop in Grand Avenue on St. Paul. They did dress all of our attendees for the 4th event, and that was a really fun, different thing to have. And I'm hoping to continue partnership with boutiques and the fashion side of things, because that's always something fun that I like to intertwine in our brand. Also want to thank We Cater to You, which did cater our 4th event. That's also a women-owned company, and wherever possible, I'd like to support the women-owned businesses and small businesses here in the community. And lastly, the Cookie Creative, another woman-owned business. She does these great cookies, and she did a custom cookie for Fashion Meets Poetry for our very last event. So thank you, and I really hope I didn't miss anybody. I might keep looking over here because I'm looking at my computer to make sure I didn't miss anybody on the sponsor list. So that's the sponsors. So lastly, I just wanted to talk about some of the new initiatives. So we are working to continue the series. So we're looking to relaunch in fall with our, let's see, 6th and 7th event. That will be going forward into 2018. The other thing that we're looking at doing is I will be creating workshops where we will be focusing on building our bravery and creating a framework for women to share their story. And I'll be talking a little more about this at, hopefully we'll be planning a local event, a small event here in the next month or so to talk more about the new initiatives. And if you are somebody who does want to share their story or doesn't know how to, doesn't know how to write it, doesn't know how to share it, doesn't know who would listen, well, we will listen. So we want to offer an opportunity for people to build their bravery, to create their story, and to give them a place to share it. So there will be workshops that will help you to do that, that will lead you to opportunities to speak on our stage for our empowerment series, as well as being part of an interview that we will be starting probably this fall, maybe spring. We are looking at launching a YouTube series that will be highlighting the stories of women in our community. So that will be called Lisa Harris Talks Beauty and Bravery. And we are currently in the process of looking for sponsors and partners to make that happen. We have a great videographer that worked with us on our event series that will be helping us to bring this concept to life. And like I said, it will be beauty and bravery. So we will be continuing with that platform and that message of inner and outer beauty. And we have a really exciting framework for what that's gonna look like. So I'm really excited about that. And I think that's it. I know I rambled and I didn't have any notes, which I typically am well prepared, over prepared, but I am learning that a lot of it is up here, and the more authentic that I can be with my friends, my audience, and all my new followers, the better it is. And I think that's it. I don't know what else to say. So we will continue to intertwine some of our poetry throughout. That's one of the things that makes this series really unique and different, is the poetry that we share. Hopefully we'll have opportunities to invite other women poets. I'll be creating new poems that really do highlight a lot of the topics that we're sharing. So there's a lot of things going on between the inner beauty, the bravery, and a lot of outer beauty that we're going to continue to mix it up, surprise you, and I think that's it. So please stay tuned. There's a lot of ways that you can find out what's going on. My website, which desperately needs to be updated, but it's out there. Pretty active on Facebook, so if you haven't liked us yet, please do. Please follow us so you get the notifications. We also do have a closed group happening right now. We are gaining momentum on our conversations, and it's called Lisa Harris Talks Beauty and Bravery. That is also going to be a space where we kind of jumpstart and launch maybe some ideas or concepts to get a feel for as we move into our YouTube series. So I invite you to come there and join us there for some other conversations. Typically, I share very similar information on Instagram and on Facebook, but in that private group, there are different conversations happening. So I invite you to join us there. I haven't sent out June's newsletter, but please subscribe there as well. You'll at least get a monthly update. I typically only have monthly updates right now, so I shouldn't inundate your inbox yet. I don't know, that's it. Instagram, Facebook. We are a little bit on Twitter and doing some things on Pinterest. So find us, follow us, and we'll keep you up to date on what's happening. The thing that I really do love about the YouTube series is it'll be a way for us to share beyond the Twin Cities. So our live events clearly are here right now, and you know, that's something that I want to be broader. So I know a lot of people who don't live in the Twin Cities have watched all of this and heard about all these speakers, but at the end of the day, you never get to hear their stories or you never get to experience the event. So I'm hoping through the YouTube series, we'll be able to have a wider reach, and maybe from that, there'll be a chance for us to go to other cities and share other stories, things of that nature, depending on how the whole series takes off. So I think that's it. And then last but not least, my story of bravery, my path of bravery, is a speaking topic that I will be formally looking to share with any organizations or corporations that are looking to hire a speaker. I will be out there speaking. So I think that's it, and I have no idea how long I took. And I've been meaning to do this for a really long time, so I apologize that it took so long. There was a lot to digest, and since the last event, we have been working really hard on trying to keep the momentum, because a lot of women are asking to speak. A lot of women are asking when the next event is. And right now, I have a list of up to 40 women who are interested in sharing their story in some capacity. So there is a lot of interest and a lot of demand, and we want to be able to service all these women. So stay tuned. So it is Tuesday, I believe, and I hope you have a very enjoyable rest of the day. Thank you. Bye. I'm not sure how to turn this off. I'm so new at this. Bye.